Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another ISM Lunch and Learn webinar. Today we're going to be looking at the AgileField product for field services integrated with Sage 100. Our presenters today are Jeff and Jen with AgileField, and I will be turning things over to them. One thing I do want to mention is all lines will remain muted throughout the presentation. We will open up the lines at the end for questions. You can also use the question pane and the chat window for any questions that come up, and we will address those at the end of the webinar. So with that, I'm going to turn everything over to Jeff and Jen. Thank you and welcome.
Thanks, Sherry. We appreciate it. And thanks to ISM for their partnership and allowing us to present AgileField to their clients and prospects. We appreciate it. As Sherry mentioned, all lines will be muted. Our call will last somewhere between 35 and 40 minutes, depending upon interaction. The call will be recorded for repurposing through ISM's social media, blogs, and email campaigns, etc. But we hope that you enjoy the presentation. I'm going to turn it over. My name is Jeff Gregorick, by the way. I'm a senior leader at AgileField. I held senior leadership roles at Sage for about 6 years, so Sage 100 is near and dear to me. I have a great deal of appreciation for the product and what it does, and particularly the install base and customers that use it. It was an exciting opportunity for me to join AgileField and the synergies between the two organizations, Sage and our company. So with that said, Jen Tronson is going to take over the majority of the call. Jen's another senior leader here at AgileField. I say this with a great big smile on my face. We call Jen the office oracle. She knows all, sees all. And I think all of you will appreciate her style of presentation. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about the company and the platform from a presentation perspective, but the most important part of today or this morning's call will be when she actually dives into the product and give you the opportunity to see how it can enhance the capabilities of your Sage 100 ERP system. So with that said, I'll put myself on mute and I will let the most important person here at AgileField take over the bulk of the rest of the call. So Jen, you have the con.
Alrighty. Again, thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to go through here just some of our main features and functionality from a high level. So I've got a couple slides here, and then from there we're going to go jump into the product and go over some of the basics. Again, as Sherry said, feel free to use that chat window or the questions box to submit any of those, and we'll try to touch on them, time permitting, at the end of the presentation here. So we'll go ahead and get started. This is just some of the main features and functionality, as I said, about our platform. Scheduling and dispatch, anything that you'd expect to see from a field service management platform. We do have a number of different ways that we do that we can take a look at. The field mobile application, so easily the most important piece of this, knowing that it's what's going to be used most commonly and by the bulk of the users at the company. That, again, is like a tablet or any smartphone utilizing our mobile application as they go out and do work in the field. Work order management, so that includes any like one-time jobs, like a break fix or something like that, any recurring or preventative work, and then any longer-term or multi-day projects as well. Customer engagement, we have a few tools for, including automatic notifications, and then also a customer web portal and customer mobile application. Inventory and asset management, so we can manage anything within the system, including parts and material inventory, warehouses, vehicles, and any equipment, whether that's owned by your company or servicing equipment for somebody that you are doing work for. Integration and analytics, so we'll go over the basics of that. We do integrate with companies like Sage, Sage 100 in particular, and then a bunch of other CRM, ERP, and existing accounting systems as well. From an analytics standpoint, we have a number of different reports, and we can go into that a little bit deeper once we get through here. Some of the basics, we are a cloud-based system. We do also work in disconnected offline mode for our mobile application. So we have a lot of clients that work in poor cell areas. If you think about mining or some hospitals where they have to turn off their phone into airplane mode, we do work as normal for all intents and purposes in that mode. All that information is going to upload back once they get back to connectivity. You can manage user permissions within the system, and then we also play nicely with any tablets, laptops, smartphones, or computers, so it doesn't matter if it's an Android, Windows, or iOS device. From a customer engagement perspective, we do have a customer web portal and then also a branded mobile application. So you can extend that to your customers to allow them to get on and view equipment or vehicles that they might have, own, or have on site that you're servicing for them. They can view any job history and then real-time progress as well, and then easily request new work. So the most important piece there is extending the ability for them to go on their phone or on their computer and simply request new work from you. Obviously, from a selling perspective, that's a really good feature. And with the Ubers and things like that of the world, it's really becoming the norm. So we do have both of those different options that you can choose to extend to your customers if you'd like. From a communication perspective, we do have automatic text or email notifications. Those are commonly used for in transit, on-site alerts, custom templates, so like copies of work orders or invoices, and even completion surveys. A little bit about how that works is right here we're seeing just a screenshot of a piece of the mobile application. We'll see different job statuses here, and these can drive any communication. So all of this is configurable by you, so you're sending out notifications when you want, saying what you want. An example of that might be if your guy in the field hits on site, then we send a text message to a customer saying, hello, Bob, your technician Jen has arrived on site. Another example might be when we go ahead and complete a job, we want to automatically deploy a copy of the work order so that they know what was done immediately when it was completed. These are all driven by HTML, so it's completely customized depending on what you want to send out. I just have an example here with like a logo, some basic information, and the type of work that was done. So again, this is highly configurable depending on what you want to send and at what time. Scheduling and dispatch, we do have a number of different options for the way that we can do that. The simplest and most commonly used is our simple drag and drop feature. So we're looking at a snapshot here of the scheduler view. It's going to have a bunch of jobs up here that need to be scheduled, and then our users divided by different job skills down below. The easiest way, again, is just grab one of these jobs, drag and drop it to an available user. It'll put that on their scheduler, and that will automatically deploy those notifications if you have them set up. The second way we can do that is to utilize this map view. It is a second screen, so we'll see a button up here that says map. What that will do is pop out this new window, and so we typically see people utilize this when the dispatchers have like a dual screen scenario, because these two screens will interact with one another. What I mean by that is if I were to highlight one of the jobs in this list up here, it's going to highlight it on the map. And if I were to click on a certain user on the map, it will highlight that user over here. So it makes it very simple to drag and drop those jobs based on proximity and give you a really good idea of what's going on in real time on a map view instead of seeing it in this list view here. The third way to schedule is with our auto scheduler feature. The algorithm that we have is built to maximize customer satisfaction. So for that reason, it's going to take into consideration a number of different things. First, it's going to look at division. That's typically something that's a geographic location. So something that you may or may not utilize depending on if you have a number of different offices or maybe different service arms of the company. It's just a custom grouping, but it's going to look at that first to make sure that people that maybe are in Phoenix are going to get jobs in Phoenix, or if they're in San Diego, they'll get jobs in San Diego. Next, it's going to make sure that the person has the skill that's required to do the type of work that that job is. It's going to make sure that the users are available and have enough time to complete the job. And lastly, based on proximity of the last known location of the user. So it will go through that entire check, and then if the job is requested for 3 p.m., it will schedule it to the user that meets all of that criteria and is closest to the job at 3 p.m. A couple other things to point out is, again, we can have custom user-defined skills or certifications, and then different groupings here on the scheduler. So we'll see, these people are in customer service, maybe these people do electrical work, so we're making sure we schedule to the correct people. And then we'll also see these pink bars here that are going to indicate the availability of each user. And then we'll see a couple different colors here, and these are going to indicate the different job statuses. So it'll give you a really quick view of what's going on in the field in real time. So as people are making different updates on the mobile application, it will automatically update the back office with these different colors. A couple of the main features of the mobile application we'll go over here, and then we'll take a better look at once we get into the actual product. Time card capture. There are a number of different ways that we can capture time within the system, whether it's going to be used for billable time or for payroll time. We know that there's a bunch of different ways that companies do business. So however you do that, we have an option to configure it and then easily get that information out in the field. Create new jobs. so people can create new jobs right from the field without having to go back and forth with dispatch or go through a number of different steps. They can just log right into their mobile application and create a new job from the phone or the tablet. Automatic notifications and alerts. So this is not only for the customers, but for technicians as well. That can be in the form of alerting them that they have a new job, maybe of a cancellation or a reschedule of a job, or for something like a gate code or a warning about a dog in a backyard or something like that. They can manage material inventory and any equipment right from the phone as well. So they can go ahead and click into warehouses and vehicles and see the different stock levels, see things about equipment and customer-owned equipment as well right from the mobile. A lot of that will be permission-based. And something that makes that very easy to do is the barcode scanning feature. So that will just tap into the phone's camera and allow people to go walk up to a piece of equipment or a material, anything with a barcode, and scan it easily to scan something onto a job, scan it into their vehicle, into their warehouse, or just pull up that record to do further searching there. So they won't have a need to do a bunch of searching, a bunch of filters, and type in really long serial numbers. Speaking to that camera feature as well, they can go ahead and attach as many photos as they need to a job, and then documents as well. So that's going to work back and forth with the back office in real time. So if the back office were to add a certain document or something that they might need to reference in the back office, you can view that right from the mobile application, and any photos that are going to be added on the job from the mobile application will be viewable in real time as well in the back office. GPS location. We do have an integration here with Google Maps, so we utilize that for a few different things. We'll see a number of different job statuses here on the mobile application, so we'll see offsite, in transit, acknowledged. As I go ahead and hit any of these different statuses, it's going to drop a GPS pin and then date and time stamp me as well, so that's always auditable in the back office and can be used as a mechanism for job time or payroll time as well. The other place that we're going to use that Google Maps integration is on any jobs. If there's an address present, they can go ahead and click on that. It will open up their map feature on their phone, and they can get driving directions pretty quickly and easily that way. Inspection forms. One of the most important pieces here of the mobile application is we'll take any forms or information that you're collecting in the field right now, maybe on paper, and make a digital form of that. So it can be a couple questions, it can be 5 pages of questions, depending on what it is. We'll make that digital form of it, we'll get it right on the phone. That's going to result in less mistakes that are made out in the field, and then quicker time to invoice by collecting all that information. We're cutting out the need for double entry. So no more papers stacking up in the back office, no more somebody getting off work and then having to type in a bunch of the information. It'll be just a smooth, streamlined process since we're able to collect it in real time. Any of those form fills are also available from an integration standpoint, from a reporting standpoint, and then also usable in any of the message templates that we might be deploying. Customer and technician signatures, we can make required or show up or not, depending on what you guys need to collect. Most people utilize both of these and make them both required. We often see them used as well in any of the message templates. So if we think about that, when we go ahead and hit complete here, maybe we send a copy of the work order and then embed those signatures as well to automatically send over to the customer. Inventory management. We can accommodate the movement of inventory between warehouses and vehicles depending on how we have that set up with a system like Sage. Typically, they're going to be the source of record in terms of the quantities, so they'll typically update AgileField. From there, we'll track all of that movement and then push it back over to Sage. So whether something is coming into a certain warehouse and then it's moving around a little bit before it goes on to a job, we're going to track all of that history within our system, and that's going to be whether it's a serialized piece of material or a non-serialized piece of material. We can do the same thing there with equipment and then track all of that work performed and any of the materials that might be consumed, again, whether it's to a customer location, between warehouses and vehicles, or a piece of equipment. We can also set up reorder levels and low inventory alerts to automatically deploy depending on the person that you might want that to go to, or a distribution list. So a lot of features and functionality there. Again, it's very customizable depending on the different pieces that are in play, specifically around a Sage 100 type of system. From a reporting standpoint, we do have a preloaded core business reports within the system. It's anything that you'd expect to see from a management or operations standpoint. We can also create custom reports and dashboards depending on the user or the type of user that might be logging in. And then we can also automate report scheduling. A good example of that might be if you have executives at the company that just need to get a report once a week. Maybe they just want to see all the jobs that were completed for the week, and you don't want to have to teach them how to log into the system and poke around. We can set up that report and have it automatically sent to their inbox every Friday at 5 p.m. We do, technically speaking, we do have a virtual private data warehouse. All that really means is that there's no impact on performance in the field. So even if you're running some crazy report, it's not going to impact Fred who's out doing a job. Another benefit of that is that you can utilize any existing analytics system that you might have in place. So if your company has Tableau or Domo or Power BI or some system like that, we can actually point it at our data warehouse, and you can continue to consume that information in the manner that you're used to. I'm going to toss this over to Jeff to wrap us up here, talk a little bit about the integration piece of this, and then we'll jump into looking at the actual product.
Thanks, Jen. Great job so far. You always do such a good job in walking folks through that and making it simple. In terms of integrations, I think this is probably the most important part of our relationship with ISM. Our integration hub is a component within our system that allows us to integrate with most of the common ERP and CRM systems. Of course, in this case, Sage 100 is what we're speaking about. And although this feature gets us a part of the way there as it relates to integration, the expertise, the 20 plus years that ISM has been around and their familiarity with not just Sage, but the other products they support, this is where ISM really shines. So I would encourage anyone out there that has an interest in this or listens to this at a later time is to definitely ping the ISM folks and how they can, you can leverage their expertise and experience related to integrating AgileField with Sage 100 or any of their products for that matter. So thanks for that, Jen, and I'll let you work your magic as we continue on.
Sure. So I'm just going to jump here into the actual product. Just 1 second. All right. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. You sound great,
okay.
Jen.
Okay, I couldn't hear anyone. So, all right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show this first screen when we first log into the system. Then I'm going to go through some of the basics. So I'm going to create a new job, show what the customer record is going to look like. And then most importantly, we're going to jump out and look at what it's going to look like for somebody actually working a job in real time in the field. So this is going to be the first screen when I first log in. This is completely configurable, so this is where we utilize those custom dashboards. I just have a couple examples up here. Again, this can depend on the individual person that's logging in or the type of user that's logging in. So no matter who it is, they're going to see what's important to them, the certain KPIs that they want to see when they first log in here. To create a new job, I'm just going to hit this new job button here. New customers. So if we have somebody calling in for the first time and our system is going to be the source record, we would hit new customer, enter their information, and continue on to schedule a job. Typically, we would utilize the customer base out of Sage 100. That would probably be the source record, and then we'll be transferring that information into AgileField. So for the sake of that and the sake of time, I'll hit existing customer here. And here's going to be a list of customers that we can choose from. So I'll click on AgileField. And then we're going to go pretty quickly here through the customer record just to show the type of information that we can accommodate within the system, and then touch on a couple general things. So from a high level, we're seeing all of the general information about a customer that we would want to see here. Something to keep in mind as we look at different screens throughout the system is that we can turn things on or off depending on if they're used by your company or not. So if you're seeing a bunch of fields here or on any other screens, just keep in mind they're easily turned on or off. General information about the company here, account number, typically a main contact first and last name. We do have a customer type, so this is going to be user-defined field, so I have commercial and residential in here as an example. We do have the parent-child hierarchy within the system, as you'd expect to see, so we can accommodate that and levels deep within our system here as well. We've got general contact information, and then another important piece here is this division. So this is typically used for geographic locations. These are going to be user-defined as well. I've just got a couple cities in here as an example. If we look down below here, we're going to get some address information. We're going to have the main address of the company, a billing address if that happens to be different. Something else that we will see throughout the system is called flex fields here. This is unique to us, but it's our way of doing custom fields. It's something that you'll see across any of the major business objects within the system. So any customers, users, materials, equipment, different jobs, things like that. It's our way to make sure that we're getting all the information that you might have in another system or that's going to be custom to your business and accommodate that as a normal field within our system here. So we do have custom groupings. So we can call these different groups whatever you need them to be called, and then different fields here as well. So that can be in the form of a date, in the form of a drop-down. It can be a checkbox, a number, a single line text, or multi-line text. So again, this is highly configurable and unique to each company that we do work with. Notes, we can log any notes here on the customer record. The cool part about this is I can designate some as an alert. So we'll see gate code is pound 4040. We can designate that to actually pop up on the mobile application so that when somebody goes out to do a job for AgileField here, it will pop up and say gate code is 4040. So that is a typical use case that we see. Otherwise, we've seen things like make sure you call when you're on your way, or there's a dog in the backyard, things like that. Job notes will show all the past job notes here. We'll get a glimpse of job history. These are easily searchable in other screens, but this is just going to give us a quick overview here, and we can always click into a specific job. We'll see any equipment or any material items that might be on site for this customer. We can also accommodate different contacts. So if we've got AgileField here, Scott's going to be our main point of contact, but then we also have Jen and Brian who work here as well. We can designate one of these people when we set up a job. So if we think about that, if we have 20 different contacts within AgileField and I go ahead and set up a job and Brian is the person who called in today, I'm going to want to designate Brian as the person to get the customer communication for that job. Purchase orders we can store within the system. So if you get a PO from a customer, you might want to put in that amount and we can start to attribute those jobs to the PO. So it will go ahead and start burning down for you. And then tasks is a kind of some light CRM functionality that we do have. You can task some other users within the system. That can be in the form of like a call, an internal task, a meeting. All of these are going to be user defined as well. But we can input what type of task it is. So if we think about like a follow-up or resend an invoice, things like that, we can go ahead and assign it to those users. They'll get an alert and we can track the completion as well. So that's a quick overview of the customer record here, just to give everybody a feel for the type of information we can store within the system. I'm going to go ahead and hit next to just continue scheduling our job. So here's where we would input any additional information about this particular job. So if we think about it, if there's like a dispatcher or somebody in customer service that would be taking this request, they're probably talking to somebody and then they're going to go ahead and start typing in the different things that they're hearing on the phone. So maybe a job description is going to be, you know, something's going wrong, a description of that. Maybe it's just some PM work. We'd put in a description here. Again, all of these fields are optional. We can put in a reference number, a PO number, a requested date and time. We can add any equipment. So if there's equipment on site for AgileField or that we would need to use on this job, we can assign that here. We can assign a certain contract if there's different contract pricing structures here. And then contact, I can select a different contact. Otherwise, it will default to the main point of contact for this customer. Next, I'm going to go ahead and pick the type of work that we're doing. So I've got some really general examples in here. I'm going to go ahead and hit maintenance. And something to note is we do kind of treat this as a template for the job. So this is what is going to drive any of the documents that might show up on the mobile device. It can be the driver for the different types of communication. So mainly, if you want to go ahead and alert people when you're coming out to do a maintenance job, but maybe you don't want to alert them when you're doing an install, we can configure it that way based on the type of work. It also is going to drive any of the preset billable items. So from a planning perspective for your price and cost, that becomes very important. We'll take a look at what that looks like on the mobile. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and go out to schedule this job. So this is going to be our scheduler view here. This is pretty much where anybody that's dispatching jobs on a regular basis is going to live for all intents and purposes. You'll see this job that I just created, and then the easiest way to schedule that is just to go ahead and drag and drop it here. So we'll see that just went ahead and assigned it to me. This again is going to deploy any of the communication that we might have set up. So it might alert AgileField that we just scheduled a job for them. It's going to alert Jen that she just got a new job. And then we can always move these around. So if I decide it needs to go to Mia, and maybe I'm going to do this job for Walter White, I can go ahead and just move these around as I need to. I can always make them longer and make them shorter as well. So when we talked about those job templates, that's an example of this as well. So if I pick a maintenance job, maybe it's an hour and a half long, whereas if I do an install, maybe it's 4 hours long. So these time blocks will default based on the type of work that's being done, but a dispatcher can always alter that manually by doing this dragging. A couple other things to note here is we're seeing the different employees over here on the left-hand side, and then we're seeing them grouped by different skills. So these are going to be user-defined. I just have a few examples in here. And you can have people have multiple skills, like Corey could be an electrical and be a field technician. We just designate which one we want him to show up in the scheduler as. We're going to have these pink bars here that will indicate the shift of each employee. So we'll see most people are working 8 to 5, but there's quite a few that are working, it looks like 6 to 6 as well. So that will indicate, number one, for the auto scheduler, when to not schedule somebody, and then also visually, visual cue here for the dispatchers to know when it's okay to schedule people or not. You'll see this PTO bar here. So we're certainly not an HR platform. However, we do see most people want to accommodate that PTO time within our system so that this PTO bar will come across and we don't accidentally schedule any work to them. So that has a nice feature there. We'll go ahead and look at the filters over here. Sorry, filters over here. So there are a number of different things that we can sort the scheduler view by. If I hit project here, if we have a number of different jobs that are rolling up to a specific project and I were to filter down by a certain project, it will show me only jobs up here and then only jobs down here that pertain to this particular project. Same thing is going to go with customer. Most importantly and most commonly used here is this divisions filter. So if I click on Chandler, it will show me only jobs in Chandler and employees in Chandler. And it will do the same thing when I click on these different divisions. Something to note for this is I am logged in as a super user, so I'm able to see all of the different divisions here and filter down. However, if I was somebody who works in Phoenix and I'm restricted view, then when I log in, this is all I'll see. I will see Phoenix jobs and then Phoenix employees. We've also got a status legend down below to show what the different colors mean here. After a matter of a couple hours, if even that, a dispatcher is going to have a really good idea of what's going on in the field just at first glance. So I doubt they would need this legend, but it is always there to reference. We'll see a number of different jobs up here that are waiting to be scheduled. We can designate a different priority here. You'll see reference numbers, descriptions, the type of work that's being done, and we can always click on this to weed out the people that don't have this job skill. So if I click on this emergency service job, we'll see that that needs to go to a field technician. It makes it very simple to drag and drop to the appropriate job skill here. I can always see past days. So if I click on the calendar here, it will show me the days in the past. So I can always use that to reference any jobs. And then we have a week and a month view as well. So if your company works mainly multi-day jobs or over the course of multiple weeks, it would be a lot easier to visualize on week and month here instead of just in the number of hours within a day. I'm going to jump now out to the mobile device and show everybody what that is going to look like working a job as a field technician. So again, just something to note is this is a mobile emulator, so it's not going to actually open up my phone's camera or do any scanning, but we'll get the idea there. If I was working in disconnected offline mode, we're going to have a bar across the bottom that will let us know. It'll say disconnected mode. For all intents and purposes, again, they can work as normal. We'll still see all of these different tabs. It's just that the data is going to upload when I get back to an area of connectivity. Sync data here is here for a hard refresh if for some reason things aren't looking right when you get back to safety. From disconnected mode, that is a hard refresh, always there if necessary. I'm just going to go bottom to top here and hit all of these different options. So timesheet here is just that. It's pretty simple. It's for companies that want to go ahead and track time. Maybe we're not attributing any hours to a specific job or customer. We're just wanting to know that somebody worked from 11:59 a.m. to whatever time they ended that day. So we can utilize this for payroll, and that's what it's most commonly used for. So it's just a simple punch in and out here. They might punch in and out a number of times throughout the day. We'll roll up those hours that they were actually in and then utilize that for payroll. Search functionality here, so we can search a number of different things like equipment, vehicles, customers, even employees. So this comes in handy because we give the people in the field the ability to search things that they might not be able to search typically without a back office view. So instead of having to learn 2 different systems to get information they may need, they can do that right here from the mobile application. employees, for example, if maybe I saw that Ben worked the last job for the customer that I'm out working for, I need to contact him, don't have his phone number, I can go ahead and click in here, click to email, click to dial. So it'll give us a really good idea of kind of the things that we would be able to access typically only in the back office. Warehouses here is something, again, that's permissions driven, so do keep that in mind as we go through a lot of this, that it's driven based on permissions. I just have everything on for the sake of the demo. So you'll see any warehouses that I have access to. Looks like I have access to this main warehouse, so I'll go ahead and click in here. It's going to show some basic information, and then it's going to show the entire stock of inventory in this warehouse here. I can always filter search, so it's going to be a free text field to search anything, any attributes or fields about the pieces of material I have. Most commonly used, easiest is the scan search here. So this typically would pull up my phone's camera and allow me to scan right here. So I'll just jump right ahead to any of these materials I might have scanned. I can assign materials in bulk to a vehicle. If I click on this, it'll let me add multiple pieces, and then I can assign quantities and put those out onto a vehicle pretty quickly there. We'll see a number of different materials, and then we'll see some with a barcode. So if they have a barcode, it means that there are different serialized pieces that are a part of this 300-166 material type. So it'll give me some basic information here, maybe where it's stored within the warehouse, price and cost. I can always view the items here, so it'll show me the different serialized materials I have. Again, typically this is where somebody would be using the scan feature. But if I swipe in here, it'll give me the serial number, the status of the item. We'll see that I received this in the warehouse and it's new. Maybe if I realize it's damaged, I can go ahead and hit damaged and designate that item as a damaged item. I can always also receive inventory this way as well. So if I need to scan in things that are coming in for the first time, I can do that right from the phone or the tablet here. And then I can assign anything to a vehicle out here as well. This vehicles tab is going to be kind of the same thing. Again, it's going to be driven by permissions. So we'll see that today I have this GMC 1500. If I click in here, it's going to give me basic information about my vehicle, and then pretty much going to give me the same view that we looked at in the warehouse. So again, I can filter down the search with an open text field. I can click here to scan. And again, it's going to show me all of the different materials and then serial materials that I might have. So if I click here, it'll show me the different serialized materials I have. If I hit add item, it, again, based on permissions, will allow me to go ahead and scan in something that might be in the warehouse, might be on another vehicle, or might be at a customer location. So I can go ahead and scan that back into my truck's stock this way as well. We're going to get to the most important piece here, the jobs portion. So this is a setting, I do have it turned on to show me only jobs for today. Depending on what makes sense for your company, we can set it for N number of days in advance. So if you need people to see a couple days in advance, 2 weeks in advance, whatever that number is, it's a simple setting. And then they'll have a list of jobs here. So there's always a search function here if this becomes, quite a long list. Search functionality is always there. You'll see create new job here as well. So if they need to create brand new jobs from the field, they can do that here. And then we'll see my list of jobs. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this AgileField job. You'll see this address is clickable. So if I click that, it will open based on the phone settings. So like on my phone, it would open up Apple Maps. If your phone defaults to Google Maps, it will open up Google Maps. Here's where we're going to see that alert that we saw in the back office. So it's going to show me the gate code is 4040. So when I go out to do this work for AgileField, I'm going to see that right away. I can always come back here to see the alerts as well. And then I can always change the status. So I'm going to go ahead and hit in transit. And this is where it's going to start doing the GPS stamping and then date and time stamping that as well when I change any of these statuses. It's also going to be what deploys any of the message templates that we might have configured. So if I just hit on site, maybe it's alerting AgileField, hey, Jen's on site at your location. Next thing here is we're going to see any equipment. So if there's equipment on this job, I can go ahead and click in, see what I'm supposed to be working on, see additional information about it here, and then also see any notes that might have been logged. I can log new notes here, and I can also view the job history for this specific piece of equipment. So if I'm out working on this Capstone C65 generator with this serial number and this model number, I'm seeing a warranty date, I can always click here and see the past work that's been done for this particular piece of equipment. I can always remove any equipment or add additional equipment here as well. If we keep scrolling here, we're going to get some general information about the customer. We'll see the phone numbers are going to be click to call, click to email, and then click for driving directions if necessary here. And then I can also view job history for a particular customer as well. So it's always able to search here, and then it's going to give us a list of the past work that's been done. As an example, if I click in here, it's going to give me, again, some general information. It's going to show me who worked the job, any of the form fills, any of the line items that have been completed, and even signatures if they're on the job. And then documents here. So this can be driven by a number of different things. This one, for example, since I'm working on a Capstone C65, it's attaching this document manual for me here. It can be driven based on the type of work or the particular customer or job that we're working on. So since this is a maintenance job, maybe there's a specific document that might go along with that. We can have that automatically attached to these jobs. And then there's always the option to connect whatever document you might need for that particular job here as well. If I swipe here, it will just go ahead and open that automatically on my phone. For me, it's going to open in a brand new window. So you'll see this document's pretty long. It's 61 pages, so there's no real limit on this. It's whatever we need to enable people in the field with to get the job done correctly. The next tab here is going to be forms. So this is where we take anything that you might be filling out in the field today or the information that you need to gather, and we're going to have automatic inputs for these. So we'll see a number of different custom groupings. We're going to see different questions here. This is completely configurable by you. We can have checkboxes, any drop downs. It can be open text boxes. It can be dates, numbers, things like that. We can require any of these as well. And then all of these are always going to be available for any message templates from a reporting perspective and also via any integrations. So again, it's going to eliminate that double entry and cut down the need for a bunch of paperwork floating around the back office. This work tab here is going to be automatically generated by the type of work that we're doing. So if your company just works on time and materials, this will probably be blank and you'll allow people to add things as they go. From a planning perspective, we try to set these up so it makes sense for your company to do forecasting. So since I picked a maintenance job here, we've got a line item for preventative maintenance. There's going to be a certain price and cost associated with that. Same will go with an equipment rental here, and then any materials as well. So we can't always remove any of these while we're out doing the job, and then we can always add anything as well. So I'm going to add a material here from my vehicle. I'm going to select this type, and I'm going to go ahead and add 2 to this job. So again, this is highly configurable, and then we can track hours based on a number of different things depending on what makes sense for your business process. I'm going to jump up here really quickly. This is where I could upload any pictures. So this can go ahead and hit my camera, or I can hit my image gallery to attach any photos to this job, and those are going to be viewable in the back office in real time. We'll also see any notes. So we'll see that this note was added in the back office. Make sure you verify email for the invoice before you leave, and I can always add new notes here as well. And then on the sign tab here, we're going to see a place for signatures. These are going to date and time stamp as well. We can always add new notes down here, and then send invoice. So if your company has it set up to automatically send out an invoice when we hit complete on this job, this is probably not something that you would utilize. However, what it will do is it will allow you to pick a template that we might have set up and then add additional email addresses. So if you're out on this job and Bob says, hey, can you send that to me too? You can simply just add Bob, comma separated here, and then go ahead and hit send, and it will deploy to both people. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. It will ask me if I want to complete this job. So I'll go ahead and hit yes. And then it's going to return us back to our main screen to select the next job to start working on. So it'll bring me back here to see all of the jobs that I've got scheduled. That's pretty much the AgileField platform. From a high level, do keep in mind I kind of had everything on for the sake of the purpose of today. It is highly configurable depending on what you need your people to see or not see, and again, based on permissions. So again, just from a high level, went over the customer record there, creating and scheduling a new job, and then walking through what that could look like for somebody out in the field on a mobile device. I'm going to toss it back to Jeff and Sherry. You guys, if we have any questions, we can go ahead and go over those.
Great, Jen. You did a wonderful job as always. Thanks. Sherry, did any questions bubble up by any chance during that session?
No questions did bubble up, but I am opening the phone lines for everyone right now. So if there are any questions, your phone lines are now open. Okay, I'm going to take that as, oh, is there a question? Okay, so I'm assuming there are no questions. If anything does come up, you can always email us here at ISM. You can reach out to AM for account manager, am@goism.com. We'll be happy to help you out, refer you back to Jeff and Jen. Jeff and Jen, I want to thank you for your time today. Great products. I'm glad that we recorded this. It will be up on our ISM YouTube channel. And I am seeing, oh, I apologize, Jeff. Let me. Jeff, it's telling me that you are self-muted. I cannot unmute you.
There we go.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can.
All right, there we go. There was that Three Stooges move on my part. Sorry about that. I have a couple of commonly asked questions that I might just share with the audience. I thought would be good just for the sakes of the call while we have them. If you're okay with that, Sherry?
Of course.
So a few commonly asked questions that we get is obviously, it always comes down to cost. So what's our licensing model? So for simplistic answer is it's a per user license model. So as an example, if there were 12 technicians and 2 dispatchers, that's 14 licenses. They're named users. We assign those to that company, and it's charged on an annual subscription basis. That's all purchased through our business partners, in this case ISM, and renewed through ISM. So that's a pretty common question that comes our way. We do sell through a reseller model, and it's roughly $50 per user per month is the SRP. There are some tiers based on volume, so keep that in mind. Another common question that comes our way, Sherry, is does the product scale? So there's a 2-point answer to that. One is it was designed for the mid-market, and that's a moving target based on what company you ask. But I will tell you, we have customers as small as 7 to 10 users, and we have customers over 1,000 technicians. So that gives you a view into the scalability of the product. It's really more in line with typical Sage 100 clients, probably range somewhere between 20 and 30 users, I'm guessing, and that's for the most part in our wheelhouse. So those are a few commonly asked questions without anyone responding here. As Sherry mentioned, though, I would encourage anyone that's listening to this or hears the recording to reach out to your folks at ISM, and we'll be happy to respond to any specific questions. Jen did a wonderful job at a high level, and we went through it relatively quickly, but if someone wanted to actually have a private demonstration specific to their environment or company needs, we would be more than happy to do that. So Sherry, thanks again to you and the ISM team for giving us this opportunity. And with that, I will bid my farewell, and we'll talk again soon, Sherry.
Well, one moment. A question did come up as you were speaking. The question is, how does AGF handle preventative maintenance?
I'm not sure I understand preventative maintenance. Jen, is that something that sounds like a response?
I have unmuted the attendees as well if you would like to go into further detail.
I'll take that one unless somebody's going to chime in. It's kind of a loaded question. It's pretty vague. I'd probably have about 5 or 6 follow-up questions. But typically what we see done is we create jobs on a recurring basis. So if you have a PM schedule where you're going out once monthly, once quarterly, once yearly even, those jobs we can set to automatically be scheduled or to automatically populate without you having to remember to go back and check check warranty dates and things like that.
Hopefully that answers the question, and if not,
he said that answered his question. So thank you very much.
Perfect.
Any other
Thank you,
questions
Jen.
before we end the webinar? I'm not seeing anything. So I will thank all of you for your time today. Great informative webinar. It will be posted on our YouTube channel, and please keep up with us and join us on future ISM webinars. Jeff and Jen, thank you very, very much for your time today.
Thank you.